Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business. What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop music and culture that happened throughout the week. Big shout out to the supporters over at patreon.com/hiphopnow. If you would like to learn more about what it's like to be a Patreon supporter of this podcast, audio or video, visit the link in the description of this episode. On the road to 500 subscribers on YouTube right now. We are at 431. Everybody that has subscribed, I appreciate you. We almost there. We almost there. It's in our sights. 500 subscribers is necessary for this podcast, not only for the growth, but the exposure throughout the YouTube lexicon. You know what I mean? Now, when I say that, I'm just saying that also puts this show in the eyes, in front of hip hop fans just like you. So what I need you to do, because my statistics say that, let me just say this quick update for those who listen. Maybe 2 weeks ago, I looked at my stats and it said that 58% of the people who watch my podcast on YouTube weren't subscribers, which is typical in the space of content creating specifically for YouTube. So I made a plea to you guys, and now we got that number down to 55%. But I'm trying to get above 50. I want to have a stat that says most of the people who listen to this podcast or watch it on YouTube are subscribers. So if you enjoy this content, maybe you've been watching it all the time and you just pop in, or you follow me on the social media site, and when you see that I have a new episode, that's when you go and watch. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and more importantly, share it with people you know would enjoy this kind of content, specifically because this is how it gets bigger. You wonder why certain podcasts are huge. It's because if they don't have a celebrity status driving that, or guest, which I don't do, I'm here for the news and the conversation, then it's easier to get to those numbers, right? Because you kind of already have a head start based off of fandom. I'm starting from the bottom, and I did it on the audio side where my listener count was low in the beginning, and then it grew, and now that audience is steady. Now on YouTube, started out with a couple of subscribers, like maybe a little bit below 200. Now we at 431. I'm putting in the work. You're appreciating it. So let's keep it going. 500 is easy. I think we can get to 500 before July 1st. And again, I have some more content coming. So one thing I would like for you to do, and I know I'm being a little long-winded, but this is a partnership, me and you, right? I want to know what people want to see, right? Because I have my tape series, Tale of the Tapes, coming back pretty soon. There's 12 episodes of that. That's one thing as far as content, but there are other things I could do. And one of them, let me just say this. I've also done tier lists, right? Where I review albums from a certain artist catalog and I kind of rank them. There'll be more coming from that. But also, one thing that I'm flirting with doing, and I don't usually do this kind of thing, but I think it'd be fun because it sparks conversation, is list, right? Top 10 greatest hip hop albums, top 10 MCs, top 10 greatest diss songs. If you would like for me to do like list, I could easily do that because it's not a problem for me. I'm a hip hop head. So if that sounds like something you would want to see and talk about and debate or whatever, leave that comment in the comment section, and I will definitely look out because there's going to be more content coming to the YouTube channel anyway. Now, big shout out to hiphopdx.com. allhiphop.com, even though they've been posting things that I'm sort of like, yo, this ain't hip hop. What is this? Um, and Ambrosia for Heads, and which are a few places where I get some of my storage from. Let's get right into the business stuff. So Lupe Fiasco has announced that he has a new project dropping soon, a new album called Samurai. And the first single is the title track, Samurai. And this will be his 9th studio album. Supposedly it's going to be released on June 28th, which is a little bit refreshing sometimes. Well, I won't say that because don't get me wrong. Ghostface announced a new single, Scar Tissue, featuring Nas, and the very next week the album dropped. And I was excited for it. I'm not too mad at Lupe announcing a new album, having a single out, but the album doesn't come out until June 28th. I'm okay with that. Things used to be different. A long time ago, it would be like new singles out, album next year. You're like, what? You know what I'm saying? So I'm fine with it. What I do appreciate is I don't like when Lupe, because I've said some things on this podcast, but I'm a Lupe Fiasco fan. Again, I put my money where my mouth is. Homie's nice and he makes dope music. But I don't like when he's on the outside looking at somebody else's situation and not that he can't have an opinion, but it always comes from a position of um, critiquing in a negative way. Now, I'm not saying he's a rotten person and he hates, because everybody says it's like saying respectfully and then saying something disrespectful. Okay. Sometimes he does that, and it's like, dog, just do you, right? So I like when it's like, I'm just gonna show y'all. Don't tell us anybody can get it and what you write and how nice you are. We do not care because we already know this. But most fans who want you to go at a Kendrick or somebody else really do it because maybe they don't like Kendrick or they don't like this other rapper. Or like, yeah, okay, he went at Royce, and ironically, Royce didn't really respond the way I thought he would. Um, but also in a lot of ways, it shows how much you matter. So to me, Lupe, you show people by your work. Forget diss records, forget back and forths. And me as a Lupe fan, I don't really care about him doing that unless somebody's bothering him. Then I get it. But don't be jumping out. Anybody here can get it. And people just go, man, get out of here, man. I ain't even ask you, you roach. Like, that looks worse. Like Game. For those who don't know, Game released a diss record like a week or so ago. I already forgot. Uh, towards Rick Ross. Rick Ross just said, y'all starving, and just laughed with the veneers all in the camera. You don't want to be that guy who, and the diss record ain't that bad. You don't want to be that guy. This is the second time you being ignored after going into the studio and putting in what you thought was your best work. Game, just make an album, dog. 1992, I telling y'all, I think it's a classic. I think it's a classic, dog. I love it. Maybe because I'm from the 90s, but the Games album, I love it. So that's how I feel with Lupe. Like, yo, Samurai, okay, I'm digging it. Okay, I'm kind of digging the cover too. Like, I'm digging the first song. This is the Lupe I like, not brooding and so technical that you gotta like commit to trying to figure it out. No, it's right in the pocket. It's exactly what it's the cool Lupe mixed with the kick and push Lupe. And to me, when you combine those, that's when I think it's the best of what he does. So I'm looking forward to this project, and I'm just hoping that it lives up to expectations that I have, but I think it will. I mean, I'm hoping I could just say top 5 because for the year, because I think Lupe is more than capable of making that kind of music. And then also, what also scares me, and it's the last thing on it, if Kendrick does have an album coming out, please don't drop nowhere near him, Lupe. Please don't. because there are just a number of people who are just going to ignore you because they not like us. Is some are not even here. It's the song of the summer already. It's just too much fun considering everything that's being said in the song. And I just think once Kendrick drops an album, especially if it's a good album and he hasn't missed yet, um, I just think it's going to dominate as far as the conversation. And no matter who drops what, that's dope. That's going to be the conversation. People are either going to not like it and talk about not liking Kendrick album all day, every day on social media, or love it and do the same thing, or overplay it and call it a classic and how it's better than Illmatic and everything. So let's just hope. I know for me, my personal listening, I'll be fine. I can really love a good album from one of my favorites, like a Kendrick, and still listen to Lupe and say, yo, this joint is hot too. I just want more for Lupe so he can stop feeling like he gotta, yell so y'all can see he's still here. Like, we know, dog, you're nice, but relax. All right. So we'll see what happens. Speaking of albums that a single came out, and we knew we had like almost a month before the album would drop, but Rapsody has finally released her latest project called Please Don't Cry. It's about 22 tracks with some interludes in there, only coming in at about an hour and 5 minutes as far as listening time. Uh, Features on there on the hip hop side include Lil Wayne, um, also Hit Boy. I think he did the lead single, uh, Asteroids, but also features like Erica Badu and a couple of other people on this joint, on this album. And the album is basically a very, very personal, almost like reading a diary kind of album from her. And even though Rhapsody has always spoke from the heart, um, made thoughtful songs, right? Mostly about relationships. I think that's what attracted me to her music early on, was the fact that she could talk about relationships and from a woman's perspective. And as a guy, I wouldn't really be turned off because I couldn't relate, or like maybe I'm like, oh, why you want it? Like stuff like that. So I kind of feel like this one is a little bit different. Um, for those who are new to my process, I listened 3 times. The first time is just impressions. The second time is to confirm what I heard. The third time is just, well, the second, see, I'm messing up. The second time is to listen more intently to the lyrics and the concept and stuff like that. And the third time I listen is usually just to confirm what I heard, whether I like it or not. It's still more impressions basically, but it is a review. I don't think I need to sit with an album for a week or two in order to understand it, because I'm listening. I compute the stuff, information as I hear it. You know what I'm saying? So there you have it. And for those who just want to know the score right away, I would say it's a good album, but I think it's an album that will get forgotten quick. Now, let me explain for those who want a deeper explanation. I don't think this is a whack album by any means. I don't think this is a boring album by any means. I just think it's so specific, like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, as far as concept goes, that some people, when they choose to listen to music, they don't want to commit so much to the listening experience. I know for me, listening to this album and having been a Rhapsody fan for years now, I kind of feel like, and I'm trying to be sensitive with this, so maybe I'm blanking on the words to find to say, but I'm gonna just say what I mean. But I was kind of bored of the constant self-reflection, not because it's this project, but because it's kind of what she's done. It's sort of like with Mary J. Blige, right? I love Mary J. Blige. I'm big Mary J. Blige fan, whatever. But at some point, and this is what fans do, but at some point, it was like, damn, will Mary ever find love? Like that's how you would feel. Like, damn, will she ever be happy? Like, damn, we on the fifth album until she was happy, and then I didn't like it. And then when she got into a bad marriage and it was like Strength of a Woman, I'm like, this it, she back. So you know what I mean? I think with Rhapsody, I think in a lot of ways, what I probably, and I'm gonna get into what I do like, but what I probably didn't like initially was feeling like, okay, this is a self-reflection album. This is an album where you're looking at the height of your success and looking at all the doubters and the lack of support and people talking trash about you and all this other stuff. And you're trying to deal with that. And you're trying to shed a facade to be you. And it's deep and it's dope from that level. What bored me about it was I felt like this is the first time I feel like this album probably connects more with ladies who feel this way because the my personality and probably some ladies, some other ladies too, who wouldn't like some of it, is that at some point where's your strength on the other side, right? Like now there's songs on there where she kind of displays that and puts her foot down about the way people feel about her, stuff like that. But to me, those aren't as strong as the tracks where you're saying how much you don't like this or like that or like the industry. And like I get it. It almost comes off as being mad as a defense for how vulnerable you really are. And what I do appreciate about the album is her being vulnerable, but she's always been that way. And I think that's why for me, it's sort of like, okay, well, on the next project, I need you to rise from the ashes and just be who you are and spit and not worry about what's being said on the outside. I think that's the part that kind of dragged it down a little bit for me was it felt like, and she may not in real life feel completely like this, but it felt like she was just way too overly concerned with the conversation outside of what she does and dedicating too many songs, too many lyrics to that. Now, accepting the project as it is, almost as a diary and a reflection on these inner feelings, I think is great. The music's great. The things she touches on, right? Family, religion, relationships, male and female, speculation, celebrity status, like all these different things that you want from an artist, not a rapper. I feel like Rhapsody is an artist. You just got to understand that this is what you're coming here for. So while I say it's good, and I say all those things that some would perceive as being this overall negative, it was just the things for me that told me I can appreciate what she created because she didn't just throw something at us. Musically, I think it's tight. Lyrically, I think it's tight. I just think as a fan of hers who really loved her last project, Eve, which was almost like honoring black women. Well, I say like, but it was. Um, I would prefer that because that's coming more from a position of strength. And maybe that's the whole thing, right? That album, Eve, was coming from a position of strength. I think that album should have been nominated for a Grammy, to be honest. And this album is coming from a vulnerable standpoint, which is fine. And I don't want to be one of those fans who asks for more from artists, and then when they give it to us, you complain it's not the other thing. But at the end of the day, if you've heard enough of Rhapsody's music, you can kind of see where I'm coming from. And in today's rap game, the way everything is microwave, the way albums come out and people listen to them, talk about them, and they forget that you can easily forget about this because it feels like extra somber when people are partying to Not Like Us and coming off of a much higher frequency of energy in the rap game. So again, will it make my top 5 of the year? No, I don't think so. She has before. I don't think this will this year. I mean, again, I don't know because I will continue to listen because I'm a fan. But I found myself identifying the songs I liked and knowing that there were songs I'll probably never listen again to. And I think you have to have a deep connection to her subject matter in order to really, really feel it. And there are a lot of people who will, right? There's a lot of people who can relate to what she's saying without being rap stars like she is. But people tend to forget when it comes to artistry. Again, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, when J. Cole and Drake was trying to play like it was whack, some people agreed, right? Because they was like, yo, but I never went back and listened. And I don't think it's because it's whack. I think it's because it's such a commitment because the subject matter is just so heavy, right? So you have to like say, this is what I want to hear. It's the same thing I mentioned with Lupe in the first story, right? Lupe Fiasco to me isn't like, oh, it's sunny outside. Let me throw on that Lupe. Nah, man, I want to hear that. I want to hear what Rick Ross be making. I want to hear that, right? I want to hear that lavish lifestyle when the sun is beaming on me and I got the shades and I got the new kicks on, and that's what you want, right? So, and I'm not saying with Rhapsody album you gotta like, well, I'm sad, so I might as well put this on. Like, I'm not I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when it comes to conceptual albums that are heavy in this way and internal in her case, you really got to commit to listening to it and you got to sort of be in that space. And I just felt like I think the album made me sad when I was listening to it, and I was listening to it in the gym, and never in the gym have I cared about the tempo, the concepts and stuff like that. But after a while I'm like, it's Friday, it's sunny, I'm in the gym, I've been losing weight, blah 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 blah, and now this album's kind of sad. So maybe that's what it is. Have you heard Rhapsody's brand new album, Please Don't Cry? Do you like it? Are you a Rhapsody fan? Leave your comments in the comment section below. I would love to hear from others. Will it be in my top 5 of 2024? I doubt it. But will it be one of the best albums of the year? Yeah, because it's not whack. It's just not whack. It's probably one song I skipped. And like I said, it's like 20 something tracks. So there you have it. And lastly, so coming off one of the greatest, I gotta say it, one of the greatest battles in hip hop history, considering not just the output of songs, but everything that followed it, the social media craze, and the fact that with all that back and forth with songs, a party record basically ended it for Drake, which is ironic and crazy all at the same time. I know he responded after that, but he might as well not have done that because it's already forgotten in a lot of ways. I know Drake fans haven't forgotten it, but guess what? You're gonna be just like Jay-Z fans a year from now, 10 years from now, talking about he won. No, he didn't. Just like Ether won. Ether won. Not Like Us, Meet the Grams, 1-2 punch, knockout, fights over, let's party. Uh, but because of the battle and everybody on the end of it saying, greatest diss song of all time, which is not what people saying, like Not Like Us. They probably saying Meet the Grams more than anything. And then here come everybody with their lists and stuff like that. And one particular list that dropped from the legendary Ellie Wilson on hiphopdx.com. 100 greatest diss songs in hip hop history ranked. Now, y'all know me. I don't typically do lists. I will. If you would like to see that, leave your comments in the comment section below. Let me know, or hit me on bars, or hit me on social media at Vegas World INC if you would like to see lists coming from me. Damn, I'm on the road, you know what I'm saying? Bars. But the only thing when it comes to these lists is music is highly based off of good music or bad, but the opinions are based off of just that, opinions. And everybody has an opinion, and everybody are affected by diss records in one way or another. So when someone drops a list, it's never the perfect list. You may get a situation where people like, yo, I'm not, some people may say, yo, I'm not mad at that list, you know, which is cool, if you're not mad at it. But let's just start with the last 10, and then we're going to go to the top 10, and then I'll tell you what I think. And if you don't know by reading the title, Tupac is number one, but not for that song. At 100, Big Sean featuring Kendrick Lamar at Jay Electronica, Control. Y'all know, really, it was just Kendrick Lamar's verse that wasn't necessarily a diss. Some took it as not, but it was more of a challenge to his peers, so we get it. 99, The Game, Buttons, when he dissed Joe Buttons. Lil' Kim, Black Friday. I think that's a slept on diss record. Maybe because I saw the video, and once Kim was in the project hallway, like, I thought it was crazy. Dissing Nicki Minaj. Jazzo over I'm glad this is even on the list. One of the most slept on Jay-Z diss ever. Jazzo was in his bag on this song. In his bag. If you don't know, go look it up. Over, right? Like Hova, OVA, without the H. Jazzo killed this record, and no one ever mentions it, which is crazy. 50 Cent, Be a Gentleman. Cameron, You Gotta Love It. Pastor Troy, No More Play in GA. That's number 94. Jeezy, 2423. Rick Ross, Mafia Music. I did not know that was a diss record, but whatever. Mobb Deep featuring Lil' Kim, Quiet Storm remix. Now, the only reason why that's listed is because of Kim's verse. Kim's verse was going directly at Foxy's. And then Foxy was on the song with Capone and Noriega, Bang Bang. And her verse was crazy. But again, you don't hear too much about that because Quiet Storm remix was a club record that dominated. So, and Drake, Charged Up. That's number 90. Now, let me see if I could get to the 100 real quick without people in the video having to watch me scroll all crazy. I'm almost there. Hold on. We just about there. And most of this is predictable. Number 10, Like That. Now, again, we know the project, We Don't Trust You, was, pointing at Drake, and Like That, mostly because that's where Kendrick Lamar decided we're not doing subliminals no more. I'm going straight at Drake and J. Cole on this record. Number 9, Lost Ones, for Lauryn Hill. Absolutely. A lot of times you don't even hear this being named as one of the greatest diss records, but it is one of the most punishing moments. And this is a female versus a male, and it was nothing, I tell you, nothing Wyclef could say because Lauryn Hill smoked him. Who you going to scrimmage like you the champion? You might win some, but you just lost one. Woo! Lauren was in a bag. Commons, the B word in you. This is a family podcast, so I'm not going to say the B word. You want to talk about dissecting one of my heroes, an Ice Cube, slinging St. Ides and bean pies in the same sentence. Woo! Busy. But who's after that? Number 7, Ice Cube, No Vaseline. How this is not a top 5, I do not get it, but whatever. Ice Cube taking on NWA. NWA wasn't a group that fell off at the time. There was the world's most dangerous rap crew. At least that was their moniker. And he killed it. Pusha T, Story of Ada Don. What is this boy name? I feel like that's not even his name. But you know that's the one who's like, why you hiding that child? Why you let that boy come out playing border patrol? Like that just shut the battle down when it came to Drake, because it was like, oh, wait a minute, you gotta see, man. That's what everybody did. Number 5, Takeover, Jay-Z. Kill your drama. I kill you mother fluffing ants with a sledgehammer. Don't make me do it till you done it, because I overdo it so you won't confuse it with just rap music. Ask Nas, he don't want it with Hove. You know who? Do you know what? Well, you know who. We keep that between me and you. Woo, Takeover. Woo, when that came out, Takeover was a beast. That was number 5. Drake back to back. I think Drake back to back should be in the top 10. I don't think it should be in the top 5. I think No Vaseline has to be in the top 5. But whatever. This is Elliott Wilson's list. Killing Meek Mill, killing him. Is that a world tour or your girl tour? My God, just getting bodied by singing. Like, if you want to give Drake a win in a battle, it was definitely that one. So number 3, Not Like Us. My God, he got Not Like Us. It's a crazy diss record. It's crazy for a number of reasons. And I don't know, if I made my own list, I might go Meet the Grams more than Not Like Us, but I think Not Like Us makes a top 10 strictly off the fact that he made a bop that rebutted a lot of what what Drake was saying. And it's probably the one of the only records on this list that's a number 1 hit. Crazy. Number 1 hit. Dissing you. Everybody partying to your demise. It's crazy. Like, you can't even go to a party because the DJ feels like, I gotta play this because it get the crowd going. So, number 2, Ether. Nas's response to Jay-Z. Man, listen, so many came to hanging with Irv the Big, and Eminem murdered you on your own. Like, we could just keep going and going. Like, the stuff that Nas was saying, like, you Tybo hole trying to work it out. You trying to get brolic. Ask me if I'm trying to kick knowledge. Nah. I'm trying to kick the issue you need to learn, though. The ether that make your soul burn slow. Is he Dame Diddy, Dame Daddy, or Dame Dummy? Oh, I get it. You Biggie and he Puffy. Then he put the L. Man, when that came out, y'all, it was literally what you have witnessed today with Drake, kind of his celebrity and his popularity looming larger than Kendrick Lamar, even with Kendrick Lamar's accolades, to be set down to the shadow realm based off of old school back and forth battling. That's exactly what Nas did. He was truly poked the bear. And once Ether came out, no one cared what he came out with. Now, we did for a second, like, oh, he got super ugly, okay. But then we was like, nah, he just mad because this ain't even like good on some rapping stuff. Jay-Z's way better than this. And we know what happened later, Blueprint 2 and all that, but the battle was over. Ether, it was over. But at number 1 is Tupac's Hit 'Em Up. Now, not going to go too long because we having some technical difficulties with the audio and the video. But let me just say this. Hit 'Em Up is not number 1. There's so many reasons why it's not number 1. It has nothing to do with Brooklyn. It has nothing to do with Biggie or me personally being a Biggie fan. I think Against All Odds is a way better Tupac diss record for a number of reasons than Hit 'Em Up. Sure, when you go to Hit 'Em Up, it's the beat, play his anthem. It's Tupac flipping grab it if you love hip hop to grab your Glocks when you see Tupac, call the cops when you see Tupac. Like, all of that was ill. First verse was Tupac, it was Venom. I even like in the beginning where he's kind of like talking kind of low, like no friends, like he about to set it. I love that part of it, but it's literally a verse from and hook from Tupac, and then some talking. The minute the outlaws get out the way, yo, get out the way, I'm like, nah, we don't want to hear from y'all. We only want to hear from Pac. Why is this the diss record? To me, that knocks it down a peg. Everybody else named in that top 10 is straight up them putting in work against their rivals. Against All Odds is so dope because not only is it diss records aimed at rap rivals, but also street dudes. And I felt like when you're talking lyricism, that's probably one of the best Tupac songs ever. Against All Odds, this be the realest I ever wrote. True, I ever spoke against all odds. Up in the studio, getting blown. Like, it's just a way better record. And it's all Tupac and it's everything he has to say. So it's Hit 'em Up a top 10? I think so in a lot of ways because if anything, it's 10, right? Because you can't get away from it, the fact that it is a diss record, right? That had a video that had Tupac going at Biggie and everyone, Junior Mafia and Mobb Deep and all of that. But at the same time, is just not, to me, it was more of a shock value thing. See, the takeover had the shock value of Jay-Z just coming out and saying, ask Nas, he don't want it with Hove, right? So he was challenging him. But then he did a whole verse breakdown, and the rest of the song is about other guys and stuff like that, right? And Jay-Z really only had a verse about Nas when you think about it, but it's not the same because it's a whole diss record featuring Jay-Z talking about all these rivals, right? Including Nas. He just dedicated one verse to Nas specifically. And also, it wasn't really a battle between Tupac and Biggie because Biggie never really responded. And some people use that to say, well, yo, he lost because he never responded. And I don't know if it was ever truly a battle because all of this stuff happened within, like, let's just say a year. All of this energy from Pac, all of the, West Side, all of that was like 96. And then he was dead before the year ended. So, if anything, if Biggie would have released the record on his album, which came out March of the next year, it would have been tacky anyway, right? Because he died. But even before Tupac died, I mean, we hear that certain people that Biggie wanted to do it, or certain people say, yeah, he was dissing Tupac on here, but it was deleted, blah, blah, blah. But one thing that was clear, because Big said it, and it was being said by multiple people at the time, that's not what Puff wanted him to focus on. He didn't want to get riled up in a back and forth on record because he wanted to get this money. And I think Big was listening to Puff because, again, when you didn't want to rhyme over Juicy because you thought it would be whack, but you did it because this guy said it would be a hit, and then this guy was right, and you realize you need to listen to him to a fault because he also listened to him going out to LA around that time. That you could see him wanting to. That's why you get all these Biggie subliminals about Pac in certain songs. But he couldn't just come out and just make a diss record because I think he would have been happy to do so. And he sort of did the same thing with the Nas's and stuff like that on Kicking the Door. So in a lot of ways, you can't say he was afraid of that smoke because everybody's seen the video. Biggie come from battle rap. He battled in front of the bodega outside. So it's not about not wanting to do it. But if you're seeing a certain level of success and the guy who's helping run the label says, yo, we're not doing that, you probably just listen. Now, also again, Tupac dying probably pulled all that energy out of Big anyway, because now Tupac's not even here. So you're not gonna diss him. But for this list, I think a lot of what's in the top 10 is right. I just may have a different order. If I had to pick a number one of all time? Well, let's not say that. We read that and The Bridge Is Over was not in the top 10. How does that work? The Bridge Is Over is like Ether in a lot of ways. Is like No Vaseline in a lot of ways. It's a career crushing type joint. I'm gonna say in no order. Top five to me would be Ether, No Vaseline, The Bridge Is Over, and then these two slots become a a balance between I don't know and maybe so. Right? I think Meet the Grams makes it into the top five because the more you listen, the more the other songs and the responses are tied to these situations with Drake that it just becomes crazy, right? Like you can see the thought process is beyond methodical. We say to those other records like he dissected him. No, Meet the Grams is a dissection of your rival. Um, there's that, and I would put Drake in back to back, and it's not about beats or was he as nice as the rest of them. I just think we got to a point, especially with that battle, and again with this battle with him and Kendrick. I think Drake's timing and everything he said in back to back at that point in time was just glorious to watch. And it's not even the greatest beat, it's not the greatest flow. It was the timing and the fact that he was playing Meek Mill big time. And again, there are other records. Now I haven't gone through the 100, but there are other records that to me could fall in the top 10, or that I feel like should be on this list, like Second Round Knockout from Cannabis. I think Drop a Gem on him, where Prodigy gets to respond to Tupac's Hit Him Up and stuff he say, I had the whole New York State aiming at your face. Like what else he say? You catching flashbacks of robberies in Manhattan. You know what happened? 60 G's worth of gun clapping. Who shot you? You probably screamed louder than the opera. New York got you. Now you want to use my mob as a crutch? What you think you can't get bucked again, once again? Back in the house, like Prodigy was getting crazy. Now he didn't respond to Jay-Z like that because I think that Sledgehammer joint just baby pictures, they just killed him. But I said all that to say, lists are subjective. We all have our favorites. That list moves around because that common diss is crazy too. And at the end of the day, it's battling is a part of hip hop. Having some of these old school artists and people saying it's counterproductive and da da da. I mean, you ain't paying attention, homie. It's very productive. Ask Kendrick if it's counterproductive. It's very productive. And the thing is if this promotes Kendrick to be a bigger artist than he already is, it's in good hands because he's not going to create some garbage fluff music when he decides to drop an album. It's not counterproductive. What's probably counterproductive is, during that stretch, I think a lot of people weren't paying attention to any other music getting dropped at all. They had the eyes of the hip hop community and outside of that on them, but I think it's back to business now. So we got Ghosts and we got Rapsody and we got a new Conway album. We got a Mac Hami album. Like we back in business. So, don't it's fine, but it's hip hop, man. It's battling and it's going to be things and nobody got hurt. And if things happen and you can't really tie it to people who are sitting there with their pens because sometimes it happens with people who are outside of hip hop. And some will say, well, it's because of, well, guess what? There's plenty of people getting murdered across the world and it ain't because of no hip hop records. So hip hop ain't really adding to something that's going to happen anyway. So let's just focus on the art form and the true nature of competition, which is what it was. And let's just have fun with hip hop because that's the thing. It was fun to be online talking, debating, looking at this, watching breakdowns, making videos myself, talking to people who are hip hop heads, you know, about this and that and how Drake joints sound and how Kendrick's joints sound. This records is a part of hip hop. The conversation, the competition, this is all a part of it. It's always been there. Always. So it's not counterproductive today because you're older and they're not talking about what you got putting out. I'm checking for you, but let's not hate because this attention is dominating everything in the press. Because you know it's over now. You know, just new music from Drake and Kendrick is all I want to hear. That's it. I want to hear no more diss records from them two. That's it. I want to hear no more. We got enough. So, what do you think about that top 100 list? Think you should check it out if you've never heard some of the records. They have links to some of them on that website on hiphopdx.com. Let me know what you think. Do you think Hit 'Em Up should be number one? Do you think there's a song in that list, but that's not in the top 10 that should be there? Leave your comments in the comment section below. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. So if you enjoyed this podcast, which was a little bit longer than I usually do, but we had to talk about it a little bit. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button if you liked it. But more importantly, share it with people you know enjoy this kind of content. Until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic. I'm a fan. Peace.